Hey, what's up and welcome back to Interpreting the Stars, where today I'm going to talk about John Wick 1 in preparation for John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum, comes out to digital in 3 weeks. Initially, I was going to rate this movie next week, but there's so much stuff going on then. There's a bunch of new digital releases coming out. There's a couple of doctor's appointments I gotta attend to, so too much stuff. I'm going to push it to today, so I hope you can forgive me on that. Anyways, before I talk about anything bad or good associated with this movie, I first want to talk about something that I found interesting. Conventionally speaking, the narrative in this movie is not very good. Actually, it's very reminiscent to how narrative works for monster movies. Most people would probably just say that it is completely normal because it's a vengeance story that feels like a vengeance story, and I would probably agree with you on most points, but I feel like most vengeance stories are more well-rounded than this movie. As I usually say, a good, balanced, layered, structured narrative starts with an event or a decision that everything revolves around, that every character can provide perspective to. In monster movies, the thing that everybody provides perspective to is the monster, is the character at hand. In John Wick, it would be John Wick, and John Wick can't provide perspective to himself, so the narrative is immediately kind of weak. But at the same time, unlike a monster movie, John Wick is the protagonist. He is a monster that's actually a protagonist. There's only one other movie that I can think of that does the same thing, and it actually came out this year, Jordan Peele's Us. You got a bunch of doppelgangers that are showing up, tormenting regular folk, and obviously they are the monsters. However, the more that you watch it, the more you realize that they are the protagonists. They are moving the plot forward. They sense value in what they are doing. I don't know, just something that I found interesting about the narrative of this film. It doesn't really change anything for me. It's just an interesting way to see the movie as a monster movie. John Wick even has a monster name, Baba Yaga. Anyways, on to the good. Obviously, this is one of Keanu Reeves' best roles, best characters. Even if it's a conventional vengeance story, it doesn't really matter. When you think of vengeance stories, John Wick is probably one of the first things that you think of because it is instantly recognizable. A lot of that has to do with the action set pieces in this film. It's really, really good. My original review for this movie had a 3-word review. I said, I know gun fu. Because it's reminiscent of The Matrix if The Matrix wasn't all kung fu and more guns. Lots of gunfighting in this movie, and it's all really well choreographed and really well done, and it's just exciting to watch in general. This character of John Wick is simple, but I feel like that simpleness really helped him become memorable. But it's also the way that he looks, right? His hairstyle, his facial hair, his black suit, everything works together pretty well, and what's crazy about it is that the story shouldn't be that good. The story itself is pretty weak. It's kind of dumb when you think about it because it's about an experienced killer that goes on a vengeance spree because somebody killed his puppy dog. But the beginning of this movie does such a fantastic job getting you into the head of this man and why the killing of his dog is that personal to him, and you believe it. You do feel for him. You want to take vengeance upon these people because they killed the dog, and you like the dog when you're watching it because it just does a really good job introducing you to that world for him. So while the story might not exactly be fleshed out, it is approached in a way that you can really admire and just love watching again and again and again. That being said, the movie definitely has a lot of flaws. It's probably my least favorite John Wick out of all of them, even though I only saw 1 and 2. I have yet to see 3. You can almost feel like there's definitely a lack of budget in this movie, as it's not as pretty as I would say John Wick 2 is. It has its moments, just like everything else in this movie. It has its moments where it really looks nice, visually speaking, with lighting and color. And then it looks normal and standard and not all that pretty. It has its moments with cinematography and camera work. And then it has other moments where it's just like normal camera work and nothing that actually stands out as great. That's what it keeps going back and forth from. Really fantastic, great work done, typical standard. But I do think it blew a lot of people away when they watched the movie and they thought it was absolutely fantastic. And it is, for a lot of different reasons. But once you start breaking the thing down, technically speaking, it's really not that great, especially when it comes down to the story. It is very, very simplistic. Part of that simplicity really works for the film. Part of it makes it feel like they didn't really think it through. Another problem is the importance all the characters play. It feels like you're watching chess, where you're watching the queen player move through a ton of pawns, and I really do mean pawns because none of the bad guys feel important. They all do feel like pawns that are put there specifically for John Wick to kill, and that's it. They have no backstory. They have nothing. There is nothing that's interesting about them. They have no unique skills. They don't stand out. They don't look unique. So it's a ton of action, but it doesn't exactly feel smart. The best way I could put it is it's definitely a guys movie. There's action fight sequences, car chases, girls, booze, and man's best friend. And they can turn their brain off to it, which means it's a stereotypical guys movie. Take that as you will. My original score for this movie was 80%. I can tell you that it went up to 81%. Barely a change, but a change nonetheless. Guys, tell me what you thought of John Wick 1 in the comments down below. And as for YouTube, you know what to do. Subscribe to me. Hit that like button, hit the bell to be notified when I come out with my next review. Peace out! Peace out.